Okay, so we're looking at test number 4 review. We're looking at page 5. So in this, we're being asked to write the equation of a line, and we're given a point of -2, 3, and a slope of 5. What would the equation look like when you go to solve for b? So for a question like that, we're remembering that we're using slope-intercept form, and we're going to identify the different pieces they're giving us. When they give us a point, they're giving us an x value and a y value. So x is going to equal -2 and y is equaling 3. They gave us a slope of 5, which means m equals 5. All they're going to want to know is what it looks like when I plug these numbers in. So it's going to be, instead of y, I put 3. Instead of m, I put 5. Instead of x, I have a -2, and I'm showing that I'm multiplying those, plus b, because we don't know b. They're not asking us to solve it or what the equation is. They're asking, what is it going to look like when you go to solve for b? So I'm going to stop and say, this is my final answer. Okay? The next question, what is the equation in slope-intercept form, is when we're actually going to solve. So they're asking, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. They said that the slope of the equation is 4. So m equals 4, and it goes through the points 2, -3. So if it's a point 2, -3, that means x is 2 and y is -3. So I'm going to first set it up by writing slope-intercept form to remind myself where pieces go. And I know that I'm going to plug in. For y, I'm plugging -3. For m, I'm plugging 4. For x, I'm putting in a 2 plus b. B is what we're trying to solve for. Keeping in mind that m and that x, they're next to each other. So I'm going to multiply this 4 and 2 together. 4 times 2 is 8. So now I have -3 equals 8 plus b. I want to get b by itself. So I'm going to do opposite of whatever's next to it. This is a +8, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. When I do that, -3 minus 8 is a -11. So now b equals -11. So let's think about this. I have an m of 4 and a b of -11. So when I want to write my final answer, think about y equals blank x blank. I'm putting in 4 for m and -11 for b. So this would be our final answer. Okay. The next one, what is the equation in slope-intercept form of the equation? The slope of the equation, I should say, is 2. So m equals 2, and it goes through the point -6, 1. So x equals -6, y equals +1. I'm going to start with slope-intercept form, and I'm going to plug in the pieces I know. I know y is 1. I know m is 2. I know that my x is -6, but I don't know b. First step in solving, I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. So 2 times -6 is -12 plus b. I want to get b by itself. So I'm going to do the opposite of whatever is next to the b. So the -12 is next to it. The opposite of -12 is +12. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides and get 13. So b equals 13. I now have an m of 2 and a b of 13. So I'm going to plug in 2 for m, put my x, and then 13 for my b. This would be my final answer. The last question on this page, second to last, find the slope of the line that goes through the 2 points. So they're only asking us for slope. They want to know what m equals. Remember that we're using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to label my pieces x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to substitute into my slope frame. That's a fraction bar with subtraction on the top and the bottom. y2 is 8. y1 is -2. x2 is negative 6. x1 is 4. Set it equal. If I have two negative signs, it becomes a plus. 8 plus 2 is 10. Negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. 10 over 10 can simplify to 1 over 1, or our final answer is going to be negative 1. We're going to use that same idea for the next one, but we're going to take it a step further and find the equation. It says, what is the equation in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b if the line goes through the points 5, negative 1, and 6, 3. We have our x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to start by finding slope. Use slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Set up that fraction bar with a subtraction sign on top and bottom. Then plug your numbers in. Y2 was 3. Y1 is negative 1. X2 is 6. X1 is 5. Two negative signs, change it to plus. 3 plus 1 is 4. 6 minus 5 is 1. You could leave it as 4 over 1, but it's simplest to make it a complete whole number of 4. Now that we know our m, we need to pick a point that we're going to use, and we have our slope because we're going to plug into y equals mx plus b. So what am I going to use for y? We would pick a specific point. You can either pick the x1, y1 or x2, y2. I'm going to use x2, y2 because they're both positive numbers. So I'm going to end up using x is 6, y is 3, and I found out that m was 4. So we really need to know, we want to find out what does b equal. So y is 3, m is 4, x is 6, we don't know b. So we're going to multiply these two together. 4 times 6 is 24 plus b. So I have 3 equals 24 plus b. We're going to subtract 24 from both sides because we're trying to get b by itself. And it's a positive 24, so the opposite is negative 24. 3 minus 24 is negative 21. So b equals negative 21. We now have our m of 4, our b of negative 21. So we can write our final answer as y equals m is 4, x stays, minus 21 is our b. We have one more problem to do. What is the equation in slope-intercept form if the line goes through the points 8, 6, and 10, 6? So we want the equation in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. First thing we're going to do, we're going to label our pieces, I should say, x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to find our slope. Y2 is 6, y1 is 6, x2 is 10, x1 is 8. 6 minus 6 is 0, 10 minus 8 is 2. If the 0 is on the top, if the y values are the same, we get a 0 on top, our slope is 0. That means that our line is going to be a horizontal line. Okay? It's going to look something like this. It means if it's a horizontal line, it goes through the y-axis. So our equation has a y. It does not go through the x, so it doesn't have an x. We're going to look and see that both equations, or I should say both points, have 6 for their y value. So your equation is going to be y equals 6. If the equation had, I should say, if the problem had a point like 2 comma negative 4 and 2 comma 10, then when we did find our slope, we're going to end up with a 0 on the bottom. A 0 on the bottom would mean that we have a slope of undefined. So this would end up being 14 over 0. that means it's undefined. We cannot divide by 0. If it's undefined, that means that instead of being a horizontal line or a diagonal line, it would be a vertical line like so. Vertical lines go through the x-axis. So our equation is only going to have x, and it's going to be that this x, both times they're 2, so it would be x equals 2. Take your time to go through this video again and go through your study guide before starting your test.